Who's this? Israelite Brotherhood. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do this video on them Amorites. The Amorites got the Hebrews heritage. The Amorites come back from Babylon where they was already stealing the land because we didn't drive them out the land in Joshua days when we exodus Egypt and we didn't finish the mission. But anyway, the Amorites got us up off the land and got their land back. The Amorites was chased out the land also. You know what I'm saying? We Hebrews had wars with the Amorites. When we come out of Egypt, that was one of the reasons why the Creator sent Jacob and his sons to Egypt. And so we could become a great nation. And after we became numerous, especially with the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh relatives, who was Egyptian, that mixed multitude that left Egypt with us, then we confronted them Amorites. But them Amorites had sin on them. The Amorites had a covenant before we did. And Jerusalem was their capital. Jerusalem was their homeland. You know what I'm saying? And let's establish this. First, some of you brothers and sisters need to hear this from the beast first, because sometimes if you don't hear it from the beast, then it don't mean nothing. But the Amorites was the founders of Babylon too.
The Amorites, as I mentioned, dominated the ancient Near East, the Fertile Crescent, from the time of Abraham until the time of the sojourn. The Amorites founded Babylon, which became a symbol of forbidden occult religious practices from the time of Moses until the end of time.
That's why come the prophet when the devil said to the end of time, it's why come prophet Abraham was told in Genesis 15:16 that the iniquity of the Amorites was not yet full. Okay, when we Hebrews broke the covenant, them Amorites was still in the land and their heritage continued all the way to the day. Okay, let's set up a little understanding, because the Amorites were the people who was placed in our land in 722 BC. The Sephardims were tented with Amorites. You see what I'm saying? They was tented heavily with the Amorites, because they lived in Mesopotamia, in Sippar. Sippar, Sippar is Sippar. Sippar is another word for Sephardim. They lived there, and then they had a dual city called Nippur down the river. Nippur, you couldn't be a king or sit on a throne unless you got it from Nippur, or it was done from there. They consecrated the kings in the other principalities of Mesopotamia. But these Amorites started out in Murray. You know what I'm saying? This is their home. Babylon was their territory. And all the people who lived in Babylon was kind of like tenant with them. Is why the exiles, when they was taken to Babylon, they didn't stay long, and it was an order from the prophet Jeremiah for them to come out or be caught up in the iniquity of the Babylonians, who was mostly tented with Amorites outright. You see what I'm saying? But let's establish a little history with them being in the promised land. All right. If you go to Ezekiel 16, give you some good history on the Amorites. See, the Amorites were Canaanites. All Cain kids had Tezzeret on them. Tezzeret is the Hebrew word for what they call leprosy, but it's different. He had Tezzeret on him. Cain was born with it. And his kids was born with it. All right. Let's do Ezekiel 16. This is written about Jerusalem and the love that the Creator had for them Tazarite white folks. You know what I'm saying? Them Amorites were white. They had leprosy in a sense, but it's called Tezzeret. And the Creator had mercy on them. So the Creator had mercy on all. And we can't say who the Creator should have mercy on. But the Creator had mercy on them Amorites, and they became a big empire. A big empire. Matter of fact, they dominated everything, basically all over the earth at one time. All information in history and stuff come to them and they was in the land. They was in the promised land pre-Israelite occupation, pre-our Israelite occupation. They had been there for thousands, a long time, thousands of years. In Sodom and Gomorrah, they produced. They the founders of Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, the Amorites got tented with them giants, them Raphaims and Nephilims. But this is what the Creator say about the covenant that He had with them before we Hebrews was to come in there and destroy them, because they had got wicked, kind of like the same way we got destroyed up off the land. What happened to the Amorites first? And those Amorites come back to the promised land after we sinned and went into Africa. They got control of their land back, and they've been having control of it to the day. See, the Amorites are not supposed to be on the land as well as those other people that occupy our land, because the Creator gave that land to us for an inheritance forever. All right, let's go to Ezekiel and see about, the covenant that the Amorites had. And the word of the Elohim came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abomination, and say, Thus saith the Elohim Yah unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. And as for thy nativity in the day that thou was born, thou thy neighbor was not cut, neither was thy wash in water to supply thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. And then it go on to explain the Amorites' sin. When the Amorites was born, Canaan must have throwed him out because he was Tazarit. You know what I'm saying? He had white skin, and he probably abhorred him. These folks, born with Tezzeret, leprosy back then, that was like a bad omen in a sense. That wasn't no good thing to have no white skin. That wasn't no good thing. And then as you read, you will see that the Creator had a covenant with them. Now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, then time was the time of love. You see, they was all in their blood and everything. They was all nasty and everything. And the Creator cleaned them up and then gave them civilization. Now, when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, that time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yeah, I swear unto thee and enter into a covenant with thee, said the Elohim Yah, and thou becomest mine. Then I washed thee with water, yet I thoroughly washed away the blood from thee, and I anointed thee with oil, and I clothed thee also with broidered work and shod with the badger skin, and I girded about thee fine linen, and I covered thee with silk, and I decked thee also with ornaments, and put bracelets upon these necks. You see, he gave the Amorites everything. The Amorites had everything. And then them giants, those Nephilims and Raphaims, gonna be Cain descendants, the Cain that killed Abel and went off into the caves away from the presence of the Creator. And then when they multiplied, they descendants come out and start roaming around and didn't have no civilization. So they started mixing with the people, especially the people in Babylon, Ham descendants, in Babylon gonna be, close to them cold region and stuff where Canaan people was. But in Mesopotamia is where them Amorites was. I believe that they had contact with them folks that come up out them Caucasus Mountains first also too. And that's going to be them Nephilims and the Raphaims. And when the Amorites, mixed with them, that was a bad thing. And then they was doing all kind of sin. That's like Sodom and Gomorrah gonna be a gay in the lesbian camp. Sodom is the gay camp for the dude, and Gomorrah gonna be the gay camp for the females. You know what I'm saying? That's how they was getting down back then. All this wickedness, because it tell you in the scriptures that a man shouldn't sleep with a woman, and a woman shouldn't sleep with a woman shouldn't sleep with a woman as a man, and a man shouldn't sleep with another man as a woman, and that it is abomination. And all those laws that we was told not to do in the Tanakh, dealing with the prophet Moses basically gonna be what the Amorites and them other folks did in the land. You see what I'm saying? So let's look at this here too. Nipper. 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 Nipper never enjoyed political hegemony in its own right, but was crucial. You know what I'm saying? Its control was crucial, and it was considered capable of conferring the overall kingship on monarchs from other cities. You see what I'm saying? So, them Amorites, they had a big old empire when they lived in Babylon. All right, let's go when the prophet Abraham, was first told that we would get the land. And then I'm going to show you how them Amorites snuck back in the land with some control. They was set up and ready. They was already scribes. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. All right. If you go to Genesis 12. Genesis 12. Genesis 12. Genesis 12. Genesis 12. Genesis 12. All right. All right. In Genesis 12, this is when our father, the prophet Abraham, was told that, he would get the land, of Canaan. This is Genesis 12. And the Elohim said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house and unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curses thee. And in thee shall the families of the earth be blessed. And Abraham got up and he went to Canaan. That was the land that the Creator told him, he would get. All right. All right. In Genesis 15:16, everybody should know the history of the Tanakh, with Genesis and how, we come about, our genealogical line going all the way back to Adam. And then when it get down to Abraham. But this was said after the 400 year of bondage that the Creator told the prophet Abraham, our father, that his descendants would be in. But then it goes down to say, Genesis 15:16, but in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Okay, we know for sure that our people been going back to the promised land, and it's like the fourth, generation of 400 years, and that our people been going back to the promised land and live in Demona and live in Demona. Our people live in Demona. So, it's like that prophecy being fulfilled, and it's like the prophecy of the Amorites. Iniquity is coming to an end too, because the Amorites created the capitalist system. The whole capitalist system and how it functioned and barter and trade goes back to Babylon, with the documentation of how they do trade and keeping records and all that. Well, they go back to those Babylonian scribes that was at Sepharvaim, and this is how the Sepharvaims got back into our land. But I want to show that, we had issues with the Amorites, and they was basically the ones to inherit our downfall. The Amorites inherited the land after we ran into Africa in the book of Jeremiah, because we told the prophet Jeremiah during the Babylonian wars, the Babylonians were tented with Amorites, and when they come into the land warring with us, we went into Africa, but a percentage, that 1%, that tenth was captured and taken to Babylon, and they was freed and come back home around about 538 BC. That's the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Okay, our father Jacob, if you look at Genesis 48 verse 22, you will see that our father Abraham, grandson Jacob, say that he took a portion from the Babylon, the Amorites with his sword. Let's look at Genesis 48, verse 22. All right, 48, verse 22. All right. Moreover, I have given unto thee one portion above thy brethren. He was talking about Joseph and his sons. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorites with my sword and with my bow. Now that's coming from our father Jacob, our main daddy. And if he was against the Amorites all the way to the end, all the way to his death, then, we should have kind of like been against them when we come into the promised land, but we were so quick to be cool and want to kick it with the other people and didn't want to bring the destruction on them because of their wickedness and their abomination, because we basically just left a wicked and abominable Egypt. You see what I'm saying? So we didn't go heavy on them like we should have had, which caused our downfall. See, we see that, our father Jacob was told, that to go down into Egypt, when we wasn't that many in numbers. And if you turn to Genesis 46, you'll see, and Israel took his journey with all that he had, and come to Beersheba, and offer sacrifice unto the Yah of his father Isaac. And Yah spake unto Israel in the vision of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. And he said, I am Yah, the Yah of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will make of thee a great nation. All right. So we know that happened. If you go to Exodus, I think it's Exodus 12. All right. All praise be Almighty. Y'all turn to it. No, I thought I did. All right. It's going to be Exodus 13. That's good enough. Exodus 13. This is after our fathers Jacob death and a few number of Israelites that came to Egypt, and we morphed into a mighty and courageous people. We even had a semi-army when we come up out of Egypt, going into the promised land to destroy those Amorites. You see, in the mixed multitude, this is Exodus 12:38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, with flocks and herds and very much cattle. Those gonna be the Africans of Joseph and Joseph two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be their relatives getting on down with us into the promised land, and we became a great nation, and we were supposed to confront those Amorites. If you go to Joshua 3:6. Joshua 3:6. Joshua 3:6. All right, Joshua 3:6, and you will see that the Creator, told him to go on into the promised land and do his thing and get rid of them Amorites and them other folks. It was also mentioned with Moses, Prophet Moses, telling us don't do nothing with them Amorites, them Hittites, them Havites, Perizzites, the Gershites, and the Amorites and the Jebusites. Don't do nothing that they do, and get rid of them. And we didn't. See, and Joshua said, hereby ye shall know that the living Yah is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Havites, the Perizzites, and the Gershites, and the Amorites, and the Jebusites. If you go to Joshua 5, you will see that the Amorites, Joshua 5, let's see, it might be Joshua 10. Yeah, you'll see that the Amorites control Jerusalem, as I showed you in the book of Ezekiel, how it said that Jerusalem's father was an Amorite and his mama was a Hittite. You see what I'm saying? And then if you look here in our beginning contact with them in the book of Joshua, chapter 10, verse 5, you will see it says, therefore the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, gathered themselves together and went up, they and all their hosts, and encamped before Gibeon and made war against it. You see what I'm saying? So those